So I went into Target the other day and I was just needing to get paper towels, and somehow I walked out $400 later, and I think I may have blinked out or something because I ended up with stuff I don't even remember getting.
And did you get the paper towels? That's the question. Right.
No. I was too busy buying a sense of control, apparently in the form of throw pillows.
Oh, that sounds like my wife. We're going from one item and come up with a whole basket of stuff.
Right.
So money, money's weird like that. It looks like shopping, but really sometimes it's something else, like a coping mechanism with a receipt, yeah. I suppose.
Right, and it's like, do I feel okay? Am I in control? Do I deserve this? Maybe I should text someone about this throw pillow before getting it, or maybe just pretend it was a necessity after all.
Yeah, my wife, Gia never does that. She doesn't. She just goes and gets it. Like, what is this? What is this 16 boxes that are lining up outside my door from Amazon? Right. So meanwhile, I'm over here deciding, if buying name brand cereal is a reckless financial decision. I've actually been there, I'm sitting there. Do I get the name brand? Can I justify this?
Right. Well, and honestly, I've done the exact same thing. I think it's a struggle because we weren't handed like this manual for how to do this, and most of us have inherited some weird money beliefs without even realizing it.
Well, you could have one parent saying, "Save every penny or you'll die broke," and the other one acting like he was personally funding the U.S. economy from our garage.
Very true. I mean, I look back sometimes at our childhood, and I realize basically there was this financial tug of war. I mean, you got mom who's reusing Ziploc bags, and dad, he's spending money like we're secretly the Kardashians with a Walmart address.
And mom was saving boxes for the next Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
That's not even, it has nothing to do with the gift that's in there. It's just this random box. So save that box. And right. Daddy would be like, would be like, here's a few $100, go shopping, yeah. and mom's over there saying, we got to save the wrapping.
Right. Hey. Well, it's definitely two different financial love language, which were both spoken at full volume.
Definitely.
And I think you internalize that, sometimes not even knowing it.
Yep, sure.
I mean, so today I think we're going to be talking about finances, but not a budget, not investment tips, and definitely not how we're going to retire by 40, because look, I mean, we're already in our 40s, so ship sailed there.
No.
But this is going to be more of a session that's more therapy and hopefully less crying.
Yeah, we're talking about money. Why does it feel so personal? The level that's a personal, and why some of us avoid checking our bank apps. Like we're trying to avoid some of our exes because we don't want to deal with it. So we're dealing with the mentality of money, the psychology that's there.
Right. And if you've ever judged yourself for spending or argued with someone over money, or felt like this low-key shame about your finances, and it doesn't match your feed, that's where I think we're going to be going into this episode.
Excellent. Well, welcome to This Is Life. What is it good for? And today it's good for figuring out why your Amazon cart might be doing more emotional heavy lifting than your therapist.
Or in my case, why $400 Target trip wasn't really about paper towels. And I mean, maybe it never was.
It's going to be a great one.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to be talking about a few different segments today, and I'm excited about them. I got them listed out here. Money as meaning, not math. We got money and identity, emotions that hide inside money, social side of money, psychology meets practical, and as a side note, a delicious sugar cookie with raspberry filling.
Yum.
So, let's get started as I chew my cookie because I feel like eating. We're going to be talking about money as meaning, not math. And by that we mean that there are these internal dialogues or scripts that we have with ourselves about money. And I'd like for you to share your thoughts on what you believe those scripts are.
Well, for me, money's about safety. It's security.
Yep.
Jeremy sees money as a tool. It's a tool that is there for us to use, and I have a slightly different look at it where it's more of a security. So we've had really long conversations about how that's different. Thankfully, I mean, we're both more, I think, of a saver versus, I mean, you got spender, you have people that avoid it. Oh, I don't even want to think about money. And you've got people that are controllers that they want to track every single dollar. I'm somewhere between that controller and that saver.
Okay.
I want my rainy day fund. I mean, I'm always making sure that we have our emergency account that doesn't get touched unless there's an emergency.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I mean, Jeremy and I, we do share a lot of similarities, so it doesn't create a lot of friction and dynamic differences within our relationship.
All right, so we have money as safety. We get money as power. How about money as love? I've seen people use money to buy relationships. I've got to have that person in my life, and so I got to fund them so they'll stay. And then money equals freedom. I'm trying to get away. I need a fresh start.
Yeah. Well, I think in some aspects, if we look back at our childhood, we could definitely, I think, relate to that to some degree. But I think both of us as teenagers wanting to get out on our own, but we didn't have the finances there to get our freedom. We were so heavily relying on Dad because of the very sheltered life that we lived and the restrictions that were put on us by our parents.
Well, we can talk. Well, I'm sure we'll hit on this today about our perspective of money being influenced by our childhood, as would be the case with anyone, and seeing money being played out in the form of power, money being used for love. Those two things really resonate with me. And then because of money being used as power to control, I develop an idea of money being the avenue for safety and freedom. In response to, if money's being used to lord over someone and money's being used to hopefully buy your love, then the response to that is, well, money is safety. Money is also my gateway to freedom. So I think I fall under those categories of safety and with freedom. So what happens when we have these dialects? You talked about the saver. I think you mentioned the spender, the avoider, the controller. What happens when you have one that's the exact opposite that comes together?
Well, I mean, I hate to always go back to our parents, but I mean, it is an example of like we were mentioning just briefly earlier, how Mom was very much the saver, and not just money, but in everything. I remember hearing stories of her, like even trying to save pasta by putting it in like really old glass ketchup jars. Just because, I mean, them having gotten married at, what was it, 17 and 19? There wasn't a lot of money, so she was very diligent with saving where she could.
Yeah, there's a side story to that. I don't know if you remember this story. Mama got her fingers stuck down in that ketchup bottle, and Daddy had to pick her up, carry her across the road to Grandpa's house, and they had to put a towel over her and break it because she was trying to save the pasta in the ketchup bottle. Because the noodles were too tall. They're like a 1/16 of an inch above the bottle, and so she was trying to push them down in there. So got it stuck.
I always get tickled hearing that story.
So the social comparisons that happen with money, I'm seeing other people's choices, and I think social media really brings this out, because social media we only show the best side.
Right.
And if we're scrolling down through there and we're seeing someone's got their lake house, someone's got bought a new car, someone's got new clothes, or they're going on a fancy vacation.
Right.
So let's talk about how that triggers the hidden scripts. How does that make us feel? And when we're looking, now when I say us, I mean we as human beings when we're looking at that.
Well, I can only speak from my own personal experience. I mean, I would think I'm not alone in this, but I also believe that other people, having been raised differently, or they may be better off financially, they're going to have a different emotional response than me.
Yep.
So, for me, seeing, I really have a love-hate relationship with social media, because I always feel, I catch myself thinking, oh, what am I doing wrong that I can't be where they are, or I can't do what they're doing, or have what they have. So it's not always about me wanting what they have, but if I want something different in my life, I'm constantly judging myself on where am I falling short to where I'm not able to achieve that. And I do, even if I'm scrolling through like Instagram or something and I see these different, I think they're called Amazon hauls, where people have posted videos of all these different things. Oh, you must have these items. And some of them I'm like, oh, well, that really speaks to me, especially if it's like organizational things.
Yeah.
And I have caught myself going to Amazon after seeing that, and then I will catch myself. I'm like, no, that's what they're wanting me to do. They're wanting me to go, because these people, I believe they get like a commission from either Amazon or the sellers that are on Amazon. And I'm like, no, that's what they're wanting me to do. They're trying to make this item look enticing, so I will go out there and spend it. And what am I exactly trying to accomplish for myself? Am I trying to make myself feel better by getting this item? Am I going to make my house look like what I'm seeing in these videos? And then I always, who am I trying to please by doing this? Am I trying to please myself, or am I trying to please someone else? And it has saved me a lot of times in not making those purchases, because I stop and ask myself those questions before falling into that trap and being sucked into all of these Amazon hauls. And it's not just Amazon, it's other companies also.
So you're having a dialogue with yourself about the internal dialogue.
Oh, yeah. Jeremy said it. With you, it's always so complicated. He's like, it's never that simple. I'm like, nope. It's like I'm always having like these internal dialogue struggles with myself.
Isn't there an episode on Friends where they're trying to talk with one character about going to another level? And one of them replies, there is no other level. This is
that is Jeremy. That is Jeremy. He's like, I only have the one level. There's no other level.
We don't know what that's like, do we? We're still finding more levels.
Yep. It's a maze.
It really is.
Yeah.
So I had a note here that money can serve as an identity marker, not just what you can buy, but who you think you are when you buy it. Mm-hmm. So our identity being wrapped up with the accumulation of things.
Yeah.
I was talking to a doctor friend of mine, and he recently moved from down here up to Tuscaloosa. And he said, man, I did not realize that my whole house was filled with junk.
Yeah.
So we just acquired stuff and stuck it places, and just junk. Junk because, well, that's part of our identity. Got to have another juicer. Got to have another espresso machine.
Yeah.
I don't know how many books I bought. Have I finished all the books? I got crates sitting right now in my garage that are filled with books that I just don't have a place for. So, yeah, I think this speaks to me on what I've been going through recently. You know, Gia and I, we went out of town for 2 weeks, and I'm sitting there in a hotel. She's at a conference, and so I was tagging along. And I'm living out of one suitcase. And For 2 weeks. I had my books. I had my laptop. I have a portable, foldable keyboard. It folds up.
Right.
I can practice my piano. You're not going to do any concerts on that thing, but you keep things under your fingers. And I was sitting there saying, man, in this little tiny room, I didn't have to worry about anything. And so I come home. I got to clean the bathroom. I got to take out the trash. I didn't have to do my own laundry there. And so I was like, the less I came to the conclusion, the less I have to worry about. There is some truth there that maybe my identity is freer. I don't have to worry about those things.
Right.
So I'm curious to see what my latter part of my life is going to look like. I may just have I'm living in a van down by the river. to quote Chris Farley.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
I speaking of actors, there's an actor, or was, he's back, I think, in the 30s or 40s or something. Will Rogers was his name.
Oh, wow. We're going old school. That's like John Wayne type era.
Maybe even before his time. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Well, John Wayne started filming in the 20s or something like that, in old black and white stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this particular actor had a quote that I came across a while back, and it just really stuck with me. He said, and I'm going to maybe paraphrase a little bit. He said, so many people spend money they don't have to impress people they don't like. Or
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to buy things they don't need. I mean, so I try to keep that in my mind because I don't want to ever fall into that trap of buying things to try to impress someone else. And I've even had this conversation with Chloe. I was like, you don't need to impress anyone. You need to be true to yourself.
Okay.
And because she's really bad about like falling into these trends, and then she feels left out if she's not keeping up with the trends. But I mean, I think I know that sort of falls into identity and money's involved, but that may be a topic for another occasion. But
well, no, I think the conclusion or the takeaway from that segment is to be able to press pause on before you click that buy button.
Yes.
And have that dialogue with yourself. Why am I doing this? I mean, what's driving me? Yep. I saw the last job I had. I saw the boss. I actually was told this because I like wearing suits into the office, and they told me don't wear the suits. Don't wear your suits. I said, why can't I wear suits? It's a business office. Is it because you'll be dressing better than the owner, and he doesn't like that. He has to be the best dressed. I didn't take them at their word. And less than 2 weeks in my being there, the owner, who was deeply in debt, goes out and just spends a mini fortune on buying all these wardrobe because he had to get a new wardrobe because I was showing up and I just couldn't believe it. And so people's identity wrapped in with money, which we're supposed to get into money and identity, but the underlying scripts that they're having about money.
Yeah.
What did I say here? Money. I wrote it somewhere. Money is safety. Okay, money is power. Money for love, or money for what's the other one we had?
Freedom.
Money is freedom. Freedom.
Well, and you could even throw in money as guilt. I mean, people.
How? I owe you something. Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Which I mean that may fall under some type of power control. I don't know, but I think to go even a little bit deeper, I mean, people can use money when there's guilt involved to try to either buy back love or buy back attention or affection, or try to, I guess, make them feel better about themselves for something that they may have done wrong.
We may get into that in the later segment on the social side of money.
Maybe. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's great. Let's talk about money and identity here. Money as a scoreboard. You know, the success is being measured by the salary, the car, the house, the vacations. And we've already hinted on this a while ago about the social comparisons and those triggering those hidden scripts.
Right.
But let's talk about an aspect in relationships that happens, and that is the earner shame, feeling less than compared to peers or even your partner. And both of us could speak. Both of us have been blessed with wonderfully successful partners.
Right.
And, we don't probably contribute as much financially to the scheme of things as they do. Because my wife has been very supportive of my career as a music educator. And let's just face it, as a music educator, you're not going to that because you want to buy a house in the Hamptons. You're doing that because, man, this is my calling, at least at that time period in my life. And so how do we deal with if you have a script underneath there that says money equals power, or money is what you use to get love, and then you stick that in a relationship where you're not the highest earner. So I don't know how to unwrap that just yet because it hits so close to home.
Well, I can take it slightly further because, you do have an income.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I do help with our businesses that we have as far as real estate investments, but just the 8 to 5 type job with a reliable income salary, that's all Jeremy. And it has been something that, and this is no reflection on him, this is all me, my own internal self-conscious feelings of not feeling adequate.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember growing up, Mom was a stay-at-home mom. She didn't have a job. And I remember her many times feeling like, oh, your dad's coming home. I need to look busy.
Oh, my goodness. I do that all the time. If I'm home writing and she's coming, I'll race down. It's interesting how many times I race down. I'm cleaning the kitchen. I'm doing something. I'm not sitting.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and so, I think that just goes to show how little things like that in your childhood can get written into the way you behave, the way you conduct things, and not even realize it until you stop and analyze, why am I doing this? What's causing this? And for me, I know it was hearing Mom many times say, your dad, he's out. And I don't know if we've discussed this, but our father was a contractor. So he's out in this heat all day, in this Alabama heat during the summertime. And I think that was something Mom felt guilty over. Like, your dad was working really hard to provide, and she didn't feel like she was bringing anything financially to the table. And so she always wanted to look like she wasn't sitting around on her hands letting him do everything. She wanted to feel like, or she wanted it to look like she was contributing. And
well, here we have the imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Because we're evaluating the exchange of relationship values in a quantifiable dollar sign.
Yeah.
And this plays out well on the Big Bang Theory with Sheldon. Sheldon didn't like gifts because he was trying to find the equilibrium of what was the value of that gift you give me, because now he's operating on the law of reciprocity, meaning that something was given to me and I must exchange that because I'm in debt to you.
Yes.
Which I think this whole conversation today could, at any point we could bring in this topic, and that is there's a communication behavioral theory in the mid-1900s called the social exchange theory. And I love the social exchange theory because as an accountant, I appreciate its comparison of the human brain, the motivating factor of our behaviors, running like a ledger, keeping a list of this equilibrium between what I've done for you and what you've done for me, and we're trying to get to a place where there is no dissonance, there is no sense of unevenness between what you've done for me and what I've done for you.
Right.
And I think in a relationship where money is a power scheme, the law of social exchange really comes into play. And there's another theory called the law of uncertainty, the uncertainty reduction principle. That's what it's called, where I am trying to constantly convince myself that I'm safe in this relationship, or safe wherever in this relationship. So I'm running that ledger and trying to see if you think that I'm indebted to you, And if I feel that I'm indebted to you, then I'm always scanning to see if I'm safe, because I don't like having any uncertainty, because that creates cognitive dissonance, and it makes me feel unsafe. So I definitely see that playing out within our parents' relationship. And I don't think that would be uncommon whatsoever. I think that would be very across the board, something that most people would share in some capacity. Yeah. And unfortunately, in both of our cases, our spouses have been so, I think, more supportive than we could have ever thought someone would be supportive. Yeah. I know in my case, granted, yes, I've gone on to have a career. In those early days, I just really did not have anything going on, and the fact that she saw something in me that had nothing to do with me. I think to this day I have a hard time struggling with that, because I would say, why did you marry me? And what did I bring to the table? I said, I just like being with you. And see, my social exchange theory paradigm doesn't know how to grasp that, because relationships for me have always been 100% transactional. Yeah. And so particularly a dollar sign was related to them, in my relationship with our own father. Right. It was a lot of dad using money to control. Hey, well, son, you can't make it without me. You gotta listen to what I'm saying. That's because he had all the purse strings. Yeah. And so for me, when it comes to relationships, it's like, well, how free do I get to be myself? And finding that freedom was just a real joy. And I can say the same thing for you. I've had those conversations with Jeremy going down the road, and Jeremy goes, I don't know what Bridget's problem is. Because if I had to pay someone to clean my house, cook my food, he said, I wouldn't know where jack squat's at. He said, I don't have to worry about the bills, man. She takes care of all that stuff. She got her spreadsheets. She said, if I had to pay someone to do all that, that's a full-time job right there. And so the contributions are being made, but I think in our minds, or in your mind particularly, I don't see the money coming into my hand and then I'm putting it into the family coffer. Right. I'm just, and so that inner dialogue of, man, am I actually working as much as Jeremy is? To contribute. So that's that imposter syndrome.
Yeah. And it does help, I think, in being able to label it and identify it. I know it's there. I know what it is. But instead of just having a feeling and not addressing it, there's a lot, I think, of power that comes in owning that feeling and accepting it.
Well, in that situation, you could have, an unequal earning power with money in a relationship. You have this high earner who may feel entitled to control, as was with our father. Right. And then you have a lower earner feeling undervalued or less than. That's just the side effects of that. And these power dynamics play out, and whoever holds the count pays the bills. That person that gets to decide. And that was our paradigm going. Dad gets to decide where we're going to eat. Dad gets to, because he, Yeah. And so I respect that. But you and I have later on in our life, we saw this played out in other people's lives where that wasn't the case. Mm-hmm. I had some wonderful friends of mine. If I name the name, I'm talking about in college. Their family was not. There was a lot of democracy in that. And there was a lot of people get to voice their opinion. I remember sitting around going, "Dear God, you get to voice your opinion on this. You get to talk to your parents like that. That's great." So,
and I've actually taken. I know who you're talking about, and I took that model that they demonstrated. And that's what I've tried to implement some with the three of us, me, Jeremy, and Chloe, because I do recall as a child feeling like I had zero say in anything. My opinions didn't matter. And especially if it ever went against what mom and dad wanted. Yep. And so when we decide, hey, where do we want to go to eat? All three of us talk about it. It's not just me dictating or Jeremy dictating. So, I mean, that's a really, really minor example. And we do have more in-depth conversations and openness with Chloe that we want her to feel that she has a say, because I think it's good to start now versus like you and I, we hit our 20s and we didn't know what it was like to actually have a voice, to have to be able to voice our opinions. And so we want to ease her into that where she does get used to standing up for herself, getting used to say, hey, this is what I want, this is what I need.
I got a note here. This is something that I've struggled with, but
Okay.
Grandpa didn't even graduate high school. Daddy didn't go to college.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them I know struggled with the usage of money.
Yeah.
Daddy oftentimes would say, Grandpa would call the bank and say, how much money got sitting there? Wondering if they got enough money to write out a check. And so there's been this pressure on me to, I must do better than my fathers. I must do better than that. And I find myself always comparing, like, well, here I'm 43.
Mm.
I'm Daddy's age when I graduated college.
Which time?
Oh, which time? First time. The first time. The first time. Well, that speaks of another issue. Here I am. I probably end up getting a few more degrees. I already have 6.
Yeah.
Why is that? It's that identity issue. Am I good enough? Am I going to be? I like learning, but there's also a little addiction there. I get to add another word to my plaque here on the wall.
Sure.
So there's, in that sense, I feel like I must outdo Dad. I must outdo, and I must not end up like him in some things. But some things were good. Very, very hard worker. Very dedicated. He despised the fact that he couldn't take care of his family, and so I applaud his work ethic on that. So a few questions to throw out to anyone listening. When you swipe the card, are you buying the item or the identity it represents? And I thought this was a fantastic question you wrote down for us today. When you don't feel seen, sometimes you buy something visible. That's interesting. Wow. That dopamine surge that comes from buying. I've seen people replace substance addictions with just, I can't stop spending because the money's there and it gives me a rush to go out and buy something.
Well, I do believe they have like AA groups, or I shouldn't say AA, I guess AA would be Alcoholics Anonymous, but they have groups like that, but for people that have addictions to shopping.
No way.
Yeah.
All right, let me get that number so I can give it to them. Hey, honey,
you're going to get in trouble with Najia.
I'll see her there late at night on Amazon, and I'll sneak over, I'll lean over and say, what you looking at? Nothing. I'm not looking at anything.
Yeah, right.
So, is there a line between self-care and retail therapy? Look, I got some nice, costly sugar cookies with raspberry in it. I am doing retail therapy. Because it's good.
Is how it's making you feel.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a podcast eating sugar cookies in front of people. I'm breaking the rules here.
Well, I honestly, I'm not sure what that line is. I think it may vary for each individual. I don't like shopping. Really,
it's exhausting to me.
And I do find it stressful at times. If
I find it psychologically stressful because I'm like, should I be doing this? I feel guilty.
Yes.
When I spend money, Najia doesn't go through that. She doesn't have that trouble, but I feel guilty every time I'm spending money. I'm like, my goodness, I could be saving this. I could be investing that somewhere. If I'm going to go buy a new suit, I have to justify I'm going to use it for work. I drive a 14-year-old car because I can't justify getting another one, And so,
sure.
And so, I find shopping and spending money to be a very it's so painful for me that I feel like in the back of my head there's this voice saying that you're messing up by spending this, and then being able to give myself permission. Okay, yeah, I can go spend this. I can go invest this, and because it's going to be worthwhile. Okay, let's move on here to segment 3. Emotions that hide inside money. We're talking about these impulse buys that boost the mood. Nothing wrong with that. Got that dopamine hit that's happening because we're clicking add to the cart. But What about loneliness purchases? Buying experiences or things to feel less alone. Comments on this? I don't know how to relate to this.
I don't either. I love being alone. And so...
Thank you. I get along with myself. Myself is great.
I think, I could bring Chloe in real quick and ask her, because she doesn't like being alone. She loves shopping. But that is one thing I don't know that I can really relate to. Because I don't like shopping and I love being alone. Like, for example, like if I have to shop for something, I want to need it. If that makes any sense. Like, I don't like to just shop for the fun of shopping. I'm going to shop if I need something. And then I feel motivated because, all right, there's a need there. I'm going to meet that need by doing this task. But I want to do it online. I don't want to go in the store because I don't want to deal with all of that.
No, there's people out there. Gee, they got cooties, and I no.
But Chloe, my mother-in-law, some friends of mine, they love to shop. They love to do it in person. They don't want to do it online. It's about the experience that they get. I don't know if it was necessarily a dopamine hit, but it's something that brings joy to them, to the point that if they buy something during one of their experiences, they have a very hard time getting rid of that item later on in life because there's a memory attached to that item. And so it is something that is much deeper than just going out there and just randomly buying stuff.
I don't know how to relate to that.
I can't either, but I'm just going off of the way I've dealt with a friend that she loves to shop. She has so much stuff, and she has frequently had me in her home to organize, declutter, and I have to just say, when's the last time you used this? Oh, I didn't even know I had it. And then she's like, oh, wait, I do remember getting it. And then she won't let go of it because she associates that item with a memory. And so it's not necessarily about the item, it's about the memory. It's about the experience that item represents.
Interesting.
But none of that, I understand it, but I don't relate to it.
How about this next emotion, stress spending? You know, life is hard, but this package arriving tomorrow is going to make me feel okay. I can relate a little bit to that. I've had a few things, that I've gotten along the way that I thought I went through a phase where I enjoyed shining my shoes.
Oh,
and I loved getting new equipment in and some new polish in. It was something to take me away. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think when it becomes dysfunctional, right? When I can name some people in my life that I saw as, back in the day, didn't have any money, but they're spending thousands of dollars because they're addicted to hunting. Gotta buy a new gun, gotta buy a new camo, gotta go out there because and their family's suffering, but you gotta spend that. So now you're relieving your stress, but you're causing more stress in the end because you're not thinking about why you're doing what you're doing, and those impulses are controlling you. And money's just the way for you to live out those fantasies in the moment. Which is
Well, I think all of these in of themselves are not bad if done within a balanced system.
Yep.
If you want to have a impulse buy fund, you want to have a stress spending fund, set that money aside so you can have those moments to feel free without guilt later.
That's good. Yep.
And I did this with Chloe. She has a Fidelity account, and she has her own card, and she can go into her account and set up these different, we call them buckets, these different, it's not separate accounts, it's all in one account, but you can assign money to these different these different buckets. And she has a savings account, she has a spending account, and then she can go even further and say, okay, I want to save up money for X, Y, and Z. And she can create all these different buckets to put money into. And then that way you can spend without feeling guilty because you've thought this through, you've planned it out, and then you can go out and have your spontaneous spending if you want to. But just think ahead and plan ahead to where it doesn't hurt you later on financially, or it doesn't negatively impact your partner or your family.
What about the FOMO, the fear of missing out? What are your comments on that?
I see it in other people, in the way that they react. I don't know that I personally can relate to that specific one, because I am more have a fear of spending versus a fear of missing out. So I put my spending, or I should say my saving, I guess, more of a priority, just because I have some security issues with letting go of money. I want to make sure I maintain I think it's a subconscious thing, but when I see our checking account balance get lower, even though we have all these other buckets of money elsewhere, if I have our designated spending account that gets below a certain number, I start having anxiety.
Because of that script, the safety script.
Yes.
Kicks in. Yeah.
So it's not a fear of me missing out on something so much as and this may come later on in life. I may get older and then I'm like, oh my goodness, I missed out. But right now, that fear of spending sort of supersedes.
Yeah. So what's the difference between spending that restores you and spending that numbs you?
Spending that restores.
I like spending money on sugar cookies because, my goodness, this is good over here. She's like, shut up about the sugar cookies.
Well, I can say that on, like, Jeremy and I, we've sort of gotten off track a little bit these last couple of months just due to health and schedule issues and travel. But we had a routine. Saturdays we would get up, and our little splurge was we had this coffee place in town. We would go buy a $7 cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that made us feel good. And so it was a little splurge that we did for ourselves. And it's not just about the coffee. We enjoyed the coffee, but it was our time. We don't really go out like on date nights or anything. So this was sort of that for us. But, so that was our Saturday. That's our Saturday morning routine. We like to do that. And some people might argue that, oh my goodness, you're not spending wisely by spending your money on a $7 cup of coffee, and there may be arguments to that, but that's not really what this episode's about. It's about the feelings and the why we spend, and the emotion that it brings.
Well, being able to justify, yes, I have planned on this, I have budgeted, I can afford it, and the reason I'm doing it, I'm choosing it not as a victim of my own emotions, so to say, but I am in charge of this, and this is something that I enjoy doing. And so some people like to go hunting, some people like to go fishing, some people like to golfing, and so forth. My wife and I, we like going to tea rooms.
Right.
We splurge on tea rooms. We go, and if one visit's going to cost you about $200, but we have it there to do it, and so we enjoy that process. We like going to gardens, and sometimes that can be a little expensive. So I think the life is spent where you don't look back and go, my goodness, I was being stupid with my money. Then you're going to have that regret. Then it's going to be eating away at you versus those moments, of like hopefully going away with you guys here pretty soon on a vacation.
Right.
That costs money to do. But those types of connections are an emotional and spiritual thing for me. And so I just justify that being done. So I don't think it's about the thing. I think it's about the version of yourself that you hope to turn into, when you buy that thing. And that's the trap. You can't spin your way into emotional health.
Right.
You can go broke trying. We got a quote here by Epictetus. I forget my Greek or Roman history, who that is. But anyway, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants.
Yes.
Wow. So I don't need more things. I just need to be content. Oh, that's back to the Apostle Paul saying, I've learned whatever state I am in, therewith to be content. So there's a lot of wisdom in that.
Well, and Jeremy and I, we had a conversation, we've had this conversation frequently, actually, that we kept thinking, okay, once we get to a certain place in life, that's where our happiness would kick in. We've established this, and this, and we're good to go. But what I've come to realize, once you get to that designated spot that your goal was to meet, then you're like, okay, what's next? And you end up wanting more. You end up trying to achieve something different. So there is something to finding that contentment in what it is that you have already.
Well, something could be said here about the old adage that money can't buy happiness, and I disagree with that.
Sure.
I think money without wisdom ends up being, a life that's got problems. Money with wisdom can be really peace.
Right.
For instance, if you've got a loved one that's got a serious medical need and you don't have the money to help with that, I promise you that if the situation was changed and you had the money to intervene with that, that is to me happiness.
Yes.
There's a sense of unhappiness when I know someone I love and I can't take care of them, right? So in that case, money with the right intent becomes and I love your explanation of Jeremy's attitude toward money as being a tool.
Right.
And I like the altruistic, philanthropical approach to money. It's just a tool. I can use it to be a blessing to people. Yes. And I've been there where that was possible for me to spend money to help other people. Mm-hmm. And not going in it for glory or anything of that nature, but you're doing it because they really needed some help. And the look on their face when you're saying, hey, look, I'm going to help out with your mortgage this month, or I'm going to help out with this. And they were in a tight spot and didn't have anybody to turn to and felt they were alone. So I think that money can become, in the hands of someone who has the right intention, a way of blessing other people.
Yes.
And personally,
if you don't mind me interrupting, we've mentioned our father in a lot of negative light at times, but what you're saying right now describes him so perfectly. Mm-hmm. He was the one that always stepped up to help anyone in need, financially, or whether it was, hey, my house is leaking. He was the first one there to show up and fix the problem. Without seeking anything in return from those people. So
there's also a balance to be found there.
Definitely.
Because I do look at Dad's own struggles, and I think that he struggled internally with a lot of self-worth issues.
Sure.
Do I belong? Am I going to be worthy of even fitting in where I'm at? And so for him, if he figured out that altruism gets his foot in the door, and I'm not negating the good that he did, I'm not negating his ability to help other people. I've seen it play out in my own life where, why am I really motivated to do this?
Yeah.
Oh, if I do this, then they're going to be in debt to me, and then they're going to accept me. See, that's a more complicated
you got
motivation.
The ego part that comes into play too. Of if I do this, it's going to make me feel better about myself, or make me feel better or better than someone else. So you always
How is it that Friends always has a scene for everything in life? There is no selfless act. Who was saying it? Was it Phoebe or was it Chandler?
It was actually Joey. Because Phoebe says, I don't want to bring a baby into this world where Joey is right.
Oh, yes,
and so she goes out and lets the bee sting her.
Well, the bee dies. Oh, my camera got out of focus again. Oh, man. I didn't mean to bring Friends into this. It's not going to be a true Brandon Bridget conversation without Friends.
friends coming into it.
Well, we haven't quoted Andy Griffith yet, so we'll get around to that. So, well, I think some of our audience members may not even realize that. They would know what that is, maybe, depending on how old they are. The audience members, I mean all four of you right now that are watching this.
Exactly right.
Mom.
Well, those four members, they know us well enough to know that this is truly us.
Yes, that's right. Let's talk about the segment 5 here, the psychology meets practical. Let's identify some of these triggers. The stress, the boredom, the loneliness, even celebration. Oh, there's a good one. Celebration. I'm so happy. Hey, man, drinks for everybody. And now you got an $800 bill on your credit card, right? So, being able to, what are some ways that, that's the wrong question. Let's just identify some of these triggers right away. So stress, what do you think stress does? How can it affect my decision buying to being practical?
Whew. I don't know that these answers are going to be across the board for everyone. I think it's going to differ person to person. So what a stress trigger for me might look like and the outcome might be completely different for someone else.
Yep.
But like for me, if I'm really, really stressed, okay, I want to stop off and get me a really nice iced coffee somewhere. So we're looking at maybe a $6-7 cup of coffee that maybe wasn't in the budget for this week. So for someone else, that could be a lot more drastic. I'm not sure that it's going to be a one-size-fits-all here. I'm sorry?
The goal here is that money shouldn't control you. We shouldn't be scared of it as if it's something that can't be thought through. And I think the fear of facing it means people don't want to face the dialogue that they're having with themselves. How either insecure I feel, how scared I feel, how out of control I feel. And money just becomes a way of soothing those internal emotions. And so if we learn to actually press pause on before we click buy or before we make that drastic decision and check the emotion. So we have some questions here, what emotion am I buying?
Yeah.
What am I trying to get out of this product? And if it's something I really need, is this solving the real problem or distracting me? And will this matter in a month?
Right. If you are spending due to a trigger, something's triggered you, whether it's stress, loneliness, or celebration, boredom, whatever, all of those triggers, if you're spending due to a trigger, then you're basically avoiding the real problem.
Well, yeah, you can see this happening.
And not that celebration would be a problem, but avoiding the real situation. I'm sorry, go ahead.
We can see this happening in our age group, midlife crisis. We saw it. Daddy dropped $90,000 on a pool out back. Daddy bought him a Mustang. We gotta have. And so, what's going on there? Is it, well, one, maybe I didn't have it growing up and I want to experience that. Or two, I'm really depressed that my life is flashing by so quickly and I don't know what's next and I need something just to distract me from that internal dialogue. And in reality, life would be a lot better if we paused and dealt with that problem that's underneath the surface there, rather than using the things to solve that, create a temporary solution. And,
well, you also have the people that, hey, I work 50 hours a week. I deserve this, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't think that whoever deserves it. It's what are you trying to avoid? What hole are you trying to fill that's making you feel the need to go purchase whatever that item is? I think, like you were saying, the big thing here is before purchases, before spending, stop and ask yourself why.
Yeah.
And be very true and honest about that to yourself. And if need be, rope in an accountability partner to help keep you accountable, so you don't just spend with whenever these triggers come up.
Well, I've always said this. I can go into any business, and within a matter of months, I can determine a lot of the psychology is happening in the business owners and managers because of the way money is spent. You know, money really and truly is a mirror that reflects what's going on inside. And it's so funny to watch business owners try to hide who they are because they don't think I can see them. But yeah, your decisions here, your sporadic decisions here, your unwillingness to pay the bills on time, or you're thinking, oh, I don't have to pay the IRS because I can get away with it right now. You know, this says a lot about who you are.
Right.
And I think one of the reasons we don't want to take a look at our spending habits is because those spending habits reflect decisions that were made, and those decisions reflect values and the internal dialogue. And it may scare some of us to say, man, I'm really insecure inside. I'm really vulnerable here.
Well, and I don't know, and I know for me personally, we weren't taught to stop and think and ask why, or it was just second nature. Oh, literally, Dad would hand out several $100s. Hey, go shopping. And there was never, and then this always cracked me up. He would do that and then turn around and at a later point and say, money doesn't grow on trees. I'm like, yeah, you're the tree because you just keep handing out the money.
Yeah, that's an interesting, his relationship with money. I think, and we would see it play out in our lives later on. You know, Daddy was very generous. Daddy was very supportive, and there are times where I think Daddy had a lot of regrets for things he did earlier in life, and doing things for his kids. Really he's trying to make up for it, and I see it. It's fine, but I don't think money. I think money becomes a problem if you don't know how to establish healthy relationship connections, and then you're using money as a substitute for that. Then we got a soil here that can sprout some very not so good things.
Right.
So, listener reflection time here. What's one? I guess for both of us, what's one purchase you regret, and what emotion were you trying to buy? What's one purchase? I haven't purchased anything major in a while that I regret. I regret spending a few $100 on shoe polish because now I buy these comfortable loafers that you don't have to polish. So I literally got $500 worth of shoe polish sitting in there, and like every once in a while I'll wear my Oxfords and have to shine them up. But
So what emotion were you buying with the shoe polish?
Oh, that's a great question. Feeling like I had status, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Because I follow these social media of people that are dressing well, and I love dressing well. There's a balance there. I believe other people are worthy of me putting my best foot forward. So I don't go to Walmart and PJ. I don't go to Walmart. I don't go to Walmart. I go get it online. That sounds very elitist. But I don't go to the airport. I mean, I would only wear jeans to the airport. I'm going to have slacks on and something like this on at least, if not a tie. I love that, and so there's part of me that likes holding those standards up for me, and I wish other people. And I think there's some balance there, but I think a little bit of narcissistic. Oh, look at my shoes! My shoes are really nice and polish. You know, you peasant, you don't know how to shine your shoes. But I don't have a long history of buying stuff that I think, well, that was stupid. I do think that I love clothes, and I have way too many clothes. I don't need that would prove that the other week or so when I was gone for 2 weeks and didn't have my whole closet full of suits. I don't need all that. I just need a few on them, and I can interchange things. And we like going down to Mobile to Bellingrath Garden.
Oh yeah.
And it was said of Mr. Bellingrath that he had one suit. I mean, this guy was I don't know if he was a billionaire, but golly, he was so rich. He had one suit. And I was like, there's something to be said about that. Yeah. That I just got something simplistic, and I don't have to take care of a lot of things, and I don't have an identity that's tied up with those things. Mm-hmm. And so that's cool. Yeah. Let's wrap things up here with segment number 6, some big picture here, philosophical reflections. You know, for some, money is survival, and that's understandable. Yeah. Right? Back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs here. If you haven't got food on your table, money is a big deal. You know, right? For others, it's identity and belonging. I gotta maintain that social status, man. I gotta have the multiple houses. I gotta have the multiple cars. I gotta have the boat. I gotta have this. But why? Because I'm just not gonna belong. And so I got one of my books that's coming out called the Joy of Insignificance. It's a kind of a tongue-in-cheek sort of satire about the fact that everything we're searching for in life for significance, whether it's be the shiny shoes, or the big fancy boat, really and truly, is that got value to it? And where's the real joy lie? I think, and for me, the real joy, the older I've gotten, the real joy is found in: am I living a life that's authentic with who I am? And what's being shown on the outside is what's on the inside. And I'm not talking about hanging out the dirty wash, but I'm talking about the sense of authenticity. Yeah. And money becomes a tool to hide who we really are. Here's the man in the mirror. Right? Don't look at behind the smoke. Don't look behind the screen here. And so money becomes that way that we can hide the real us. Think how much money is spent on cosmetic plastic stuff. I know. You know, we don't want to be real. And so how much money is spent, people just projecting themselves online. You got to have multiple cameras, more lights, because, I want to look a certain way. Why? Because, I need to take 145 pictures of myself drinking the Starbucks coffee. So I'll look a certain way. Right. So those dialogues are very important in the materialistic world that we have with ourselves and our attitude toward money. Peace with money.
Would you say that social media has made that particular issue worse as far as the identity, the belonging? Because I feel like it has for me. Like you just touching on like cosmetics. I mean, if you look at any store that has like makeup or any cosmetic supplies, I mean, the amount of money you can spend on that stuff is insane. And it's all just to make yourself try to... I mean, I'm all for looking put together, don't get me wrong. But at some point, I feel like it goes too far.
Well, yeah, because if we can't be ourselves, we have to hide behind this facade. And nothing showcases that as much as, like, the business world. LinkedIn is all about looking a certain way. Got to have the right verbiage. Got to have the right portrait. And everything is just. And at some point, I think the show is going to collapse, and it already is within the frustration that comes with HR, people trying to find jobs and apply. They're trying to play the interview game. You're not being yourself at all. You're using ChatGPT to come up with responses, so you sound this right. And as a part of me, I'm just frustrated with all that. I want to be me. Right. And I was telling the G the other day, I said, I'm tired of the world saying, here's how you need to be if you're going to be in the workforce. No, I'm going to tell you. I'll make a horrible interviewer for a job. Why do you want this job? Well, I need the money. You were hiring. I don't like playing that game. Well, I'm really passionate about the environment. I said, oh, well, screw that. I don't know anything about your company. I'm not researching you. If I'm applying for your job that much, I just want the job. And so I am tired of the game, and I'm tired of, and I see how money feeds that. Mm-hmm. Let's keep up the look. Let's keep up the charades. Yeah. And so I just have a hard time with it because it doesn't bring peace to me. We have written down here, peace with money. It's not about perfecting the budget, but about sufficiency and contentment. Right. And once again, to me, that equals, can I be myself? I've come to understand happiness for me is, can I be who I am, as true as that is, and it be fine. And I think that affects the way we spend money.
Yes, definitely.
We have something to focus here for a few minutes. What if we stopped hustling for worth through money? Well, that's exactly what my book's about. It really is. And I don't mean to make a plug for my book, and I like this. What if money was just a tool and not a verdict on our lives? This echoes what you said earlier about Jeremy's perception of money.
Yes, right.
So the balance is about trust, empathy, and honesty, and how we handle money. It mirrors who we are really as individuals.
Right.
And so the questions that we need to have, the dialogue we need to have with ourselves is, well, what's the emotion that we're chasing? What is the need that we're trying to feel here before we click that buy now? So here's our reflection for you listening. when in your life did you feel most at peace with yourself and the money that you made and the amount of money that's in your bank account, because of a shift in your mindset?
Maybe it's the secret to money piece isn't a spreadsheet, but maybe it's just being able to laugh at yourself for for buying that throw pillow that you impulse bought, or the off-brand cereal you convinced yourself that was a noble sacrifice.
Now, hang on. I want to say something about the off-brand cereal. To this day, I buy on-brand cereal. I don't buy the off-brand stuff because I hated that as a kid. I remember if Daddy had a good week, we had Kellogg's Pop-Tart and Kellogg's Cinnamon Toast Crunch all in 1 week. And so that does influence my buying.
Well, I think but the thing is, I mean, that still, there's, at least for me, I can't say this for you, but there's still that small sliver of, like, guilt when I'm standing in the grocery store and I see the price difference between the off-brand and the name brand. And so, I mean, it's there. I mean, that script that was written into us as kids, I mean, you still carry it.
There's also the challenge of just admitting that half the stuff we buy has nothing to do with the item.
Yeah,
it has everything to do with the feeling we hope it'll fix. We're basically all just swiping right or left on the buy button to survive.
Yeah, but this is not about getting rich or staying broke. It's about finding peace in that space between your needs and your wants and responsibility and freedom. So this episode really isn't about that $400 at Target. It's about what money represents, the control, the freedom, safety, resentment, escape.
Yeah, it's about the tension, between the independence and the partnership, between soothing and honesty, between your Amazon history and your actual emotional state.
Yeah, because, I mean, most of us, we were not taught to talk about money with grace. We learned to panic, to shut down, to buy without thinking, to spend so we don't have to feel or even spend because of the way it makes us feel.
Yeah, so if you're wondering why this is still so hard, it's not just you, if you're listening, and it's all of us, right? And we're trying to unlearn what we absorbed, and, we learn how to talk about trust.
Maybe the goal isn't the perfect budget. Maybe it's more about your emotional honesty with yourself. Yeah,
real growth isn't, just balancing the budget. Mm-hmm. It really is balancing the heart and the inner dialogue, the center that's motivating those decisions in the first place, I think.
Right. Well, money in relationships isn't just about the dollars and receipts. It's about trust and power. That permission to feel what you feel, even when those feelings show up as an impulse buy of throw pillows.
Seen it, yeah. So if you're listening and you're staring at receipts you don't quite remember buying.
Or if you're wondering if impulse spending is secretly a way of saying, I matter. Know this. You're not alone. The pain, the confusion, the tension, it's real. They're all part of that human story.
And there's no judgment here, just curiosity, right? What are we about to spend and why, and whether we can stay curious and connected even when our financial styles don't match in the relationships.
Yeah, but in the end, perhaps life is good for teaching us how to stay committed, not just in how we handle money, but in how we handle each other.
How we listen.
Yeah.
And then, hey, we can try again if we need to, because the dialogue can get cut down very quickly in relationships when the attitude toward money is not shared. We're not on the same page.
Right.
Well, next week we're stepping away from budgets and target receipts, and we're talking about something a little closer to the heart.
Yeah. It's been almost, three years now, since we lost our dad, and the next episode, Brandon and I were hoping, if health permits, we're hoping that we're going to be able to get together in person and share what we've carried throughout the years, what we've hidden, not from just everyone else, sometimes it may be even from ourselves, and what we're finally ready to say.
Yeah, it's not going to be a lot of script things. I think we're going to have a lot of heart talks, a few stories, a few memories, the good and the bad. We definitely don't want to just harp on things that were negative. There were a lot of things that Dad, and the reason being, Dad's the death of his anniversary is right around. Anniversary of his death is right around the corner here. When is it, like September 1st, September 2nd, something like that? He died.
September 1st.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about some of those memories. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think some of the stuff we might even touch on is what it means to grieve, maybe out loud, what we're going to carry forward, and what we're still trying to heal.
And what do you do with a love that doesn't have a place to land? And there's this tension between loving the person that provides for you, but there's some deep wounds and pains that are there.
Right. So this next episode, we're calling it Grief, Legacy, and the Stuff We Carry.
It's personal, a bit raw.
Yep.
But if you ever lost someone or try to make sense of what they left behind, you'll feel right at home in our discussion.
Yeah, so next week we get honest about grief and about how love and even trauma doesn't end when someone's gone. This is life. What is it good for?